Malaysia to push ahead with state polls despite COVID-19 concerns. The Malacca election is seen as a key test for the ruling government. Well, let's get more on those Malacca polls with Dr. Mustafa Izzuddin from Solaris Strategies Singapore. He joins us live. Dr. Mustafa, what's at stake for Prime Minister Ismail Sabri in these state polls?
It is a state poll, not a federal election, but certainly there's still something at stake for him. That is that he would like the UMNO Barisan Nasional to win the Malacca state election because it comes from UMNO. The other thing for him, of course, he would like to have the election run in a safe and secure way. That there is no sudden spike in the number of COVID-19 cases, because that's not going to look good on his government. So those are the two things at stake: political as well as the health of the people in the state of Malacca.
Dr. Mustafa, there are growing concerns, as you mentioned, that holding the polls could in fact fuel the spread of COVID-19. Why then are authorities pressing ahead?
Perhaps they feel they have a greater handle on the number of cases that they have in Malaysia right now, and that more people are being vaccinated, and that they feel that they can run the elections in a way that would be safe and secure. So really strict regulations when the voting takes place and also when campaigning takes place. And they will certainly be looking at the Sabah elections and learn lessons from that poll, where there was a sudden spike in the number of COVID-19 cases. So it's not to repeat that happening in the Malacca state election. And also, I think for them, the authorities might feel that if they delay the Malacca state election, there would be a backlog of state elections and by-elections. So I think, all things considered, perhaps they feel it might be good to go ahead with it. But certainly there's a risk factor. The risk factor is that if there is a sudden spike in number of COVID-19 cases, then obviously that's not going to look well, on the government. And definitely there is that political risk in carrying out the election during the pandemic.
Now, Malacca is a traditional UMNO stronghold. They've vowed, though, the opposition to mount a challenge. Do they have a realistic chance of winning?
Certainly, I mean, they had launched that, the surprising victory in 2018. So there's a chance for the Pakatan Harapan to win the Malacca state election. If you look at the number of seats in the Malacca State Assembly, it's very, very close. So it could go either way. And that's certainly, what that means is going to be a tough fight if the elections go ahead in Malacca. And also, I think for the government, I mean, they are also looking at the state election. And as I mentioned earlier, the Prime Minister is going to back UMNO to win the state election. But I think because of the number of seats we have right now, we look at the Malacca State Assembly, it could certainly go either way. And that would mean that the election is going to be a very, very close fight. Much will also depend on the voting turnout. So we'll have to see how that pans out.
And Dr. Mustafa, if it's as close as you make it out to be, the opposition, though, wants to block the election. Why do you think they want to do that?
That's a good question. I think they're looking more not in terms of politics, but looking at that having the election may not go down well with having the number of COVID cases. But the other thing might be that if they are able to resolve it among themselves without going for the election, they feel that if they resolve it, it would be in their favor. So, that's perhaps why they don't want to run the election. But like I said, it could go either way, which means they can also lose. So it's going to be a tough fight.
All right, thanks for your thoughts this evening. Dr. Mustafa Izzuddin from Solaris Strategies Singapore.